The story begins in a magical world teeming with countless creatures, each born with strange powers and unique skills. Then there are humans, pathetic beside the rest, such as Light, who is basically worthless in everyone's eyes. One day, Light leaves his home hoping to become an adventurer and heads to the city so he can sign up and finally change his life. Once he arrived, he met a receptionist who patiently walked him through the registration process. And since this was his first time joining the guild, she told him he would start at F rank, just to make sure he would not be completely worthless in the system. The receptionist then asks whether he at least has a gift he can use, and Light says with real excitement that his ability is gacha gambling. The receptionist was stunned for a long moment, thinking she had misheard him, yet it was exactly as it sounds. Light can summon a gacha wheel, and each press yields a random item. So he offers a demonstration on the spot, hits the button, and receives a bent fork. After that he tries again, but this time he ends up getting some food, and it is not even the good kind. The receptionist sighs and politely tells Light he is never making it out of F rank with an ability of that sort. Light then asks if there is any work he can accept as an F ranker, and she directs him to the bulletin board where the available jobs are posted. But on top of being worthless, he has never been to nerd camp, so he cannot read a single listing. The receptionist understands his struggle, so she pulls out a list and tells Light the best options for him right now are firewood gathering, soil hauling, or landscaping jobs, but the pay barely scrapes minimum wage, which means he will not earn much from it at all. Light says he will do it gladly, so later that day he is out doing as much manual labor as his small body can handle, and by nightfall he has barely earned enough to cover lodging for the night. Even so, as he walks down the street, a group of beast men pass by, clock him as an easy target, bump him on purpose, and steal his money without a hint of shame. Light begs them to give it back, because without it, he is going to spend the night on the street with nowhere to go. But the beast men don't give a damn, and honestly no one else does either, since regular humans sit at the very bottom of the species hierarchy here, so no one's willing to stand up for him or get involved. Light sits in the mud while people passing by call him worthless trash for no reason, again and again, until eventually someone actually stops to lend him a hand. Light takes the woman's hand thinking she is a fellow human, yet when he realizes she is an elf he jerks back in fear, convinced he is about to be used again. The elf tells him there is nothing to worry about, and to prove it she drops to her knees in the mud and hugs him tight. Light can barely process an elf showing a human that kind of kindness. Still, she seems genuine, so he decides to accept it. She then introduces him to the rest of her party and explains they are the Concord of Tribes, a party that gathers members from all 9 races across the world with the goal of wiping out discrimination among races. The leader is a beast man named Guru, and the elf's name is Sasha. They already have members from most of the different races. Now the only thing they need is a human to become their 9th member, and that is why they want to ask Light to join their party. From then on, whenever the Concord takes a mission, Light goes with them as their baggage handler, but he is still as useless as before, since not even 5 minutes and he nearly gets dropped in one hit by a giant snake monster. Luckily, Drago and Sasha manage to save him before anything worse happens, and Sasha tells him he really needs to get it together, because this is one of the world's most dangerous dungeons and anything in here could kill him, so he must stick close to the team. Light apologizes for screwing up, and Sasha does not want him crushed by guilt, so she asks him to come closer so she can check whether he is hurt. While she is tending to Light, the others come over and start teasing Sasha for doting on him whenever she gets the chance. They are done here, so the group keeps moving deeper into the dungeon with Light in the center so nothing bad happens to him. Once they reach a narrow stretch of the path, Guru says this will be a good place to stop. Light figures he's talking about a break, so he sets his bag down and starts making tea for everyone. But Drago tells him that will not be necessary because they're actually here to kick his ass out of the party. Light cannot believe what he just heard, so he asks them if this is some kind of sick joke, and everyone in the party, even Sasha, who was being sweet to him a minute ago, suddenly turns on him and calls Light a worthless, disgusting piece of garbage human. Light cannot make sense of what is happening, so they lay it out for him, saying they have been faking their kindness the entire time and that the talk about ending discrimination was a complete lie from the start. Nothing they said about unity was ever real. In truth, they are among the most racist people he will ever meet, and they have wanted to be rid of Light since the day he joined them. If that is how it is, then Light asks why they even bothered to recruit him in the first place. Guru answers flatly that they were only after him because of his skill, but Light does not understand what he means, since his gacha ability is as useless as it gets. That may be true on the surface, yet it resembles the ability of the Maestro, and the Concord's higher-ups were curious whether Light's power would evolve into something actually useful. So the order was to play nice with him until then, even though none of them wanted to. Even so, those same higher-ups recently decided Light was a lost cause in their books. So now the party has no reason to pretend they care about him. Light can't make sense of everything they just said, and the group realizes they might have spilled a bit too much, but they figure it won't matter for long since Light isn't walking out of this dungeon alive. His eyes widen the instant he hears that, and a heartbeat later Guru slashes his claws across Light's face, the warm blood running down his cheek making it crystal clear they really do plan to kill him. He turns and runs to get away, but they only laugh and tell him that even if he managed to escape, he would end up dying to some random monster in the dungeon anyway. With that said, they decide it will be much more fun to end him with their own hands, so Sasha raises her bow and shoots him through the thigh, the arrow biting deep to stop him from fleeing. They savor the sound of Light's fear-choked cries, and Guru starts beating him to draw out more, but the others tell him to knock it off because their cover story is that Light was killed by a surprise monster attack, so they cannot leave any injuries that look suspicious. Meanwhile, Light drags himself forward because he refuses to die here, but with his leg torn up. This badly Guru tells him there is no way he is going to get away. Even so, he keeps trying to crawl, and luck finally tilts his way as he triggers a teleportation trap that sends him straight to one of the deeper floors, which puts him out of the Concord's reach. Yet that does not mean he will survive. He knows exactly how weak he is, so he understands a single monster would end him on the spot. And he starts trying to accept that this is the end of the road, even if he still cannot understand why all of this happened to him. He remembers how for 4 straight years, the Concord crew treated him with respect and kindness, yet the whole act was a lie. They were using him because they mistook him for a maestro, and once they learned he was not, they tried to kill him while laughing in his face. He refuses to let that slide, no matter how hard it gets, and he swears he will crawl out of here alive and put every last one of them down, even if it is the final thing he ever does. Right then, Light hears heavy steps behind him, and to his horror, a level 1000 stone Chimera is staring him down. Even top adventurers only reach a few hundred levels, and he has never seen a monster like this before. So he figures the teleport must have dumped him into one of the deepest parts of the abyss. As the beast closes in, he almost loses control from fear because he knows there is no way he can beat it. All he has is the gacha ability that keeps feeling totally useless no matter what he tries. He has no other path, so he slams the button again and again, praying it will save him, and miraculously, as the monster lunges, the gacha wheel shifts and a stunning maid girl appears, erasing the creature in an instant. Light sits there speechless at what just happened, and the girl walks up to him, then kneels before him and sets a hand on his cheek to heal the cut because she cannot stand seeing scars on his beautiful body. The pain fades to nothing, and the maid addresses him as master and asks for his name, so he tells her he is Light. And right there, she pledges eternal loyalty and vows to serve him for the rest of her life. Her name is May, known as the Ever-Seeking Maid, and her level is over 9,999. After that, May says she is an ultra-rare pull from Light's gacha, so her very existence is bound to him. But Light struggles to process any of this, since he always believed his gacha was completely worthless, which makes it feel impossible that someone as incredible as May could emerge from it. Right then, May asks permission to probe his ability so she can figure out exactly what it is. And Light is startled when she says she can appraise things, clarifying that appraisal is only one skill among many she possesses. Light tells her she's free to scan him, so she starts the appraisal and quickly becomes genuinely astonished by what shows up on her readout. May explains that Light's gacha has dozens of protective layers woven into it, which means only someone at her level can peer past the shields and see its true functions, and from what she can tell, the wheel can be used an unlimited number of times. She goes on to say the rewards it spits out depend entirely on the local mana density, and that the items range from legendary and super ultra rare down to ordinary trash or even error results. Light is lost for a moment, and May breaks it down for him, saying there is always some mana in the air. But near the surface the mana density is low, which makes unlocking a high-quality pull like Mei herself practically impossible. However, in the deepest layers of a dungeon, the mana density skyrockets, so the chance of a useful summon increases by orders of magnitude. My figure's light must have deliberately gone into the dungeon's depths to coax the gacha's potential. But that is not what happened at all. He came down trusting the people around him, only to be betrayed by those same companions who carved his face, shot his leg, and laughed while they did it. All Light ever wanted was to give his family a better life. Yet they tried to kill him simply because he is human, and he erupts vowing he will never forgive them for as long as he lives. Mei hugs Light tightly, unable to bear seeing him that broken, and though she'll never truly know his pain, she still wants to ease it even a little. She promises that the moment he gives the word she will have the traitors' heads on the floor within the hour, but he stands up and tells her she must not do that. Mei insists those scoundrels don't deserve mercy, and he does not tell her to hold back because it is about whether killing them is right. Instead, he wants to be the one to exact vengeance with his own hands. He fell for their act and nearly died at their hands because he was too weak to protect himself, so he wants to grow strong enough to make sure nothing like that ever happens again. He knows it sounds far-fetched coming from someone so powerless, yet Mei does not think it is impossible, and she swears that if he truly wants to become strong enough to take revenge with his own two hands, she will do everything in her power to make that happen. So Light thanks her for her loyalty, and with their goals now the same, he spins his unlimited gacha once more in the abyss, swearing to master that power and rise strong enough to claim his revenge on those damn traitors who stabbed him in the back. 3 years roll by since that day, and now Light rules over hundreds of maids inside a palace he built for himself. Mei stays at his side as she promised on the day she met him. All the maids seem utterly taken with him as they cheer to be noticed, while Mei tells everyone to behave properly. After that, he leaves the castle and heads toward the local market, where everyone recognizes him, a vendor calling him over for breakfast, while others mention a shortage of snack foods across the country. Light promises to handle the problem soon, and Mei tells him not to worry about such small tasks since she will make sure the logistics issue is fixed as soon as possible. Light then realizes he will need a new system for handling logistics because the population here has multiplied several times over the last 3 years. He then asks Mei where the rest of his legendary summons are, and Mei answers that Aoyuki the Beast Tamer is busy drawing maps near the dungeons and scouting the forests for any trouble. Light thinks about the monsters roaming in those forests, yet he knows they pose no issue for a genius beast tamer of her level. Mei continues and says Ellie the mage is hard at work trying to craft the special magic aligned with his grand plan. So Light pins his hopes on Ellie, since the spells he requested are packed with tricky details. Then he checks on Naz, the vampire knight, excellent in close combat but kind of a dumbass outside the fight. Mei replies that she assigned Naz to patrol the castle grounds, which should keep her from using her empty brain and getting into trouble. Light does not mind her, since she keeps things more interesting around the castle. Soon they return to the castle, where Light is called by Jack, the last of his 4 legendary summons, who asks whether Light is ready for some training. Mei looks a bit annoyed and tells Jack he should address Light by his proper title, which is Master. Yet Jack is a true Sigma who does not believe in that feminist crap and completely ignores her. Light tells Mei it is fine since he treats Jack as an older brother, and he says he will head to his training session with Jack now. Inside the training ground, they square up to spar, and with a sudden burst of speed, Light closes the gap on his summon, drives a fist into those washboard abs, and shoves him back with surprising force. Jack looks pleased with the power on display, saying any normal adventurer would have dropped dead from a hit like that. But he can take it since he is built brick wall tough and soaks insane amounts of damage. They meet at center again, fists crashing together, then break apart, and Light follows with a rapid flurry of strikes that Jack slips past with clean footwork. At the same time, Naz keeps patrolling the corridors, head bouncing along, when a few maids greet her and pour on the sweet talk, saying they all feel safe because Naz is always on watch, making sure nothing dangerous is lurking around the corner. Naz lights up, which is exactly what they wanted, and they decide to prank her by suggesting she should go secure Light's bedchambers and make sure nothing is going wrong in there. Naz thinks it is a terrific idea and heads for the bedroom, but as she reaches for the handle, Mei steps out from inside. Naz asks May what she was doing in Light's room since he should be away at training at this hour. May blushes on the spot, saying she was tidying the room while he was out. Naz says she must check the chamber for threats, and before May can shut her down, Naz steps in and notices the covers all ruffled. She blurts that someone must have been on the bed sniffing pillows and rolling around, then says May must have set it up that way on purpose. At that moment, May decides to turn that empty brain to her advantage and confidently says it is her special bed-making style. Naz is impressed and asks if she can learn it as well, but May refuses, saying it is a guarded trade secret she cannot share yet. With that, Naz remembers the maids asked her to pass along a message to May. She unfolds the parchment and reads it, realizing the maids are openly rebelling against her for hogging Light's bedroom and never letting them clean it. All of them secretly wishing a curse would fall on her head already. May tells Naz not to worry since she will handle the maids herself, then slips her some spare change to keep quiet, which Naz happily pockets before heading off. She goes straight to the market and scans the food stalls she can afford with that money, then settles on a plate of fluffy pancakes alongside a cup of fresh milk. From there, Naz marches back to the castle and spots Ayuki perched on a balcony. Then she asks if Ayuki's forest work is finished, and fed up with Naz's antics, Ayuki flashes the map May requested and says she returned to deliver it. After that, Naz offers a quick congrats and resumes patrol, then heads into the throne room. Once inside the cheesy area, she lets out a full-throated scream since no one is around to stop her. Next, she hops onto the throne and starts getting a little too handsy with it, accidentally snapping a wing off an angel statue. Afraid of May, she shoves it back on in a panic and bolts straight out of the room. Back at the training ground, Light and Jack keep trading blows until Jack suggests they call it for the day and hit the baths. Soon they make for the bathhouse, and once they settle into the huge tub, Jack praises how fast Light is picking up skills, saying he is strong enough that most dungeon creatures would be child's play to him, which means very few can challenge him on the surface. At the same time, he warns there are still people who would try to wipe him out the first chance they get. Right then, Light turns serious, thinking of the betrayal from 3 years ago, and says he will not be satisfied until he gets his revenge. Back in May's chambers, she summons the 4 troublemaking maids and asks what the hell their problem is as she reads their letter aloud to their faces, adding with a smirk that they are probably secretly wishing a curse would drop on her head already. The 4 maids fall silent, unsure what to say, then apologize, claiming it was their way of showing support since they know May is overworked. Hearing that, May tells them to forget her workload and focus on their own. Then she denies their request to clean Light's chamber, and instead orders them to scrub the entire hallway to the throne room by hand. By the time the scolding ends, the maids are stunned, saying that hallway is far too long. Yet May tells them to keep at it since it will keep them busy while she is out with Light on a mission. Meanwhile, outside, Naz presses her face to a shop window, staring at a gauntlet she wants to buy even though her purse is empty. Just then, she bumps into Ellie, who asks what has her attention. Naz points at the gauntlet, then asks why Ellie is back so soon since she was supposed to be supervising the new construction work. Ellie says the build is going smoothly, so she slipped in a break. Before long, they start bickering about who is closer to Light and who matters more, as Ellie tells Naz she is directly tied to the revenge plan Light is crafting, unlike her. Ellie also mentions she recently enjoyed an evening sharing a cup of tea with Light to go over progress, and next time they meet she plans to arrange a private dinner. Naz says she wants tea with the master as well, then tells Ellie she is damn good at close quarters combat, so if Ellie ever wants backup she can find her. Ellie smiles and says she will cash that in someday, and then Naz returns to her brainless duty. Back at the castle, the 4 maids are busy plotting against May, calling her an over-caffeinated drill sergeant and wondering if they should go behind her back and snitch to Light. So they quickly decide against it since none of them wants to face her wrath. One of them points out that Light cares so much about May because she was his very first summon, while the purple-haired maid adds that it took Light 2 full months after that to summon Aoyuki, which means he and May were alone in the dungeon that entire time. They get insanely jealous and start rolling on the floor doing weird stuff out of envy, then decide to try some voodoo, sitting at the table and chanting may a curse fall on her to keep her away from Light's room. Unfortunately for them, May overhears everything and storms into their room, cornering them once again. The maids immediately start apologizing, saying they were just jealous and did not mean any of it. May tells them to quit daydreaming about stupid stuff, since during the months between her summoning and Ayuki's, Light was buried in study, learning every branch of magic and grinding through every martial art he could, so there was never time for anything else. That settles the maids for a moment. Then May says she came back thinking she had been too harsh. Now she realizes she was not. So she orders them to scrub the entire throne room as well, since they clearly have time to mess around with filthy little fantasies. The maids have no option but to obey, polishing the throne room until it gleams, and they decide to keep quiet this time to avoid more trouble. While dusting the throne, the green-haired fool bumps off the same angel wing Naz broke earlier, and as the piece hits the floor they freeze in horror, convinced it is their fault and scared of what May might do. The next morning, Light steps into the dungeon and finds Naz, Ellie, and Ayuki already waiting for him. He greets them with a good morning, and Naz and Ellie immediately slip back into bickering. Suddenly, a monster slides out of the shadows, and Light goes rigid as he recognizes a chimera. Even with all his new strength, the memory of that day claws at him, and his blood runs cold the instant he sees the beast. His party shows no fear. Instead, they burn with anger that a chimera would dare rattle him. Naz squares up to chop it to tiny pieces. Ellie asks for permission to erase the chimera line from the world, and Ayuki wonders if she can track down hell itself and hurl the creature into its deepest pit. Right then, their combined aura makes the monster whimper and back away as it understands how hopelessly outmatched it is. Light settles his team, steadies himself, and walks toward the creature to give it a gentle pat. Knows that even if he gave the order as a joke, his legendary summons would truly wipe out the entire race. Then he turns to them and says it is time to move toward the surface, because today marks the start of their plan for revenge. Back on the surface, Garou gets showered with praise by the beast folk, and the second he spots a human, he knocks him flat and spits on his face. He heads to a bar and tells his followers to order whatever they want, and they feel honored to share a table with him because he rose from a mangy pup to their future leader. He says it wasn't easy, telling them they need to find different ways to use the skill every beast folk is born with, and they nod since they believe his talent sits a cut above the rest. He adds that it all comes down to smell because he uses his nose to sniff out which jobs are easy, and those are the only quests he accepts. After that, they ask about the Concord of Tribes, and even though he cannot give them any details, he remembers how simple it felt since all he had to do was eliminate a weak human. It still bugs him that they never found Light's body. Even so, he figures Light would never survive a dungeon, and while he is curious about what Master really means, he knows digging into it will only drag him into trouble. May suddenly cuts in and says she is Light's maid, which throws him for a loop. She adds that she has been searching for Light for a long while, and that makes him wonder whether she knows something about what they did to him. At that point, she states that Light is of noble blood, yet Garou refuses to buy it. May then says she cannot share specifics, and even if he thinks she is lying, he realizes that if there is any chance she is telling the truth, he could squeeze a lot of money out of her. She explains that while tracking Light, she learned he joined a party, and she also heard rumors that he died in the dungeon. Right then, Garou asks what she needs from him, so she tells him to escort her to the place where Light supposedly died, and she flashes the gold she is ready to pay, which stuns everyone around them. He assumes she might be luring him into a trap. Still, he does not care because even if she pulls something, he can handle her easily. He agrees to help and declares he is the future leader of the wolf tribe, so he will bring his best men to escort her, and he notes that even without the money he would still help because Light was a brother to him. As they head for the dungeon, Garou thinks about getting May to her goal, but under his breath he vows he will ravish her body on top of Light's grave. As they reach their destination, Garou says that when monsters ambushed their party, Light stumbled into a teleportation trap, so no one saw him again. After that, he orders his men to cover the exit, and he privately thinks humans are pathetic creatures, so easy to manipulate since they swallow every lie he feeds them without a thought. May says she feels sorry for Light because if she had started serving him a little earlier, he would not have suffered kicks and arrows. Suddenly, Garou stiffens because only Concord members and a few elite executives know what actually happened in that incident. So he asks who she is, and he starts wondering if another tribe sent her to spy on him. That makes her irritated, and she says her loyalty belongs to Light alone and nothing else. As she prepares to strike, Garu cannot believe a human is making him feel fear, and he thinks this might be the end for him. Suddenly Light shows up and tells her to stand down, and Garu cannot believe what he is seeing. At that moment Light mentions that he came for revenge with 3 years worth of interest. But Garu laughs and says a pathetic piece of trash human stands no chance against level 150, and his followers snicker behind him. Garu then tells Light he made a mistake by showing himself because after he kills him and takes his body back, nothing will stop him from becoming king of the beast folk. Light is surprised since he expected Garu to ask how he survived or what is going on with Mei. Even so, Garu does not care because he figures 2 humans cannot do anything against a pack of beast folk. 2 of them charge at Light without warning, but Mei cuts off their heads in a single blur, so he thanks her and tells her to hold the exit. They start to panic, and Garu tries to steady them, saying inferiors such as humans only win with cheap tricks. Even so, Light tells him he should start considering the idea that maybe he is the one who is inferior, and the room goes quiet for a beat. Garu then tells him to quit talking nonsense and flashes his level so Light can understand the gap between them. Yet he gets irritated by the calm look in Light's eyes. Light then asks him to explain why an inferior human just eliminated 2 beast folk soldiers if the gap is so wide. So Garu snaps that Light must have used some magic item, then orders his men to attack. Suddenly they all charge at Light, but he sends a massive shockwave that blasts every one of them away. Yet Garu still refuses to believe that Light could ever surpass him, so he summons a level 500 monster right on the spot. He tells Light to start begging for his life, just like he did 3 years ago. But Light only shakes his head in disappointment. Then he calmly says he'll let Garu take the first hit since he won't move an inch from where he's standing. The monster fires a massive energy blast from its mouth, and everyone is stunned when it does not even scratch Light. After that, Light says it is his turn and summons a level 9000 monster of his own, which freezes Garu's beast with a single breath and shatters it to pieces. Light then reveals his level is 9999, leaving Garu in total shock. Even so, he decides Light must be an imposter since he looks the same as 3 years ago. So Light shows a bracelet of youth that stops his aging, and he says he keeps it on to remind himself of the pain he went through. Garu realizes there is nothing he can do and starts begging, saying he only followed orders and never wanted to hurt him. Light tells him to spill everything he knows about what Master is, but he does not know a damn thing. From there, Light looks at the rest of those mutts and asks the same, and they start bluffing as if they know it all. Yet Mei reads their lies on the spot and tears them into hot dog pieces. Light asks Garu what happens if he declares war on the surface, and he warns him not to lie because Mei has a skill that lets her see whether someone is telling the truth. Garu gets so scared he pees his pants, then mutters that no matter how strong Light is, he will not last out there alone. Not in a world ruled by powerful sorcerers, beasts, and other mighty races. Light already knows he cannot do everything by himself, so he teleports them to his throne room, and Garu cannot believe his eyes when he sees the army Light has gathered. Right then, Light orders everyone to show their stats, then fixes his gaze on Garu and asks, with the confidence of someone leading a mighty army, if he still thinks they can beat the surface. Garu just freezes up like a mutt, who suddenly realizes his end is right in front of him and can't even breathe from the fear. Realizes they are the ones who turned Light into a monster that could erase the world in an instant. Meanwhile, Garu asks whether Light plans to become a god. Light replies that the world is hiding the truth from him and that he will either bless them or drown them in despair using his gift. So everything now rests on the answer he finds. After that, we see Light going back to his village, and he finds that it was destroyed while he was away. They never found the bodies of his brother or sister, so he holds on to the hope that they could still be alive. His knight Gold asks him if he's ready to go since he doesn't want to camp there. But the assassin Ninu thinks he's being insensitive, and they start arguing about their loyalty to Light until he steps in and calms them down. He mentions that while they have the forces to take on the world, they shouldn't rush into a war, and says they first need to learn more about the strength of the other nations. He also wants to find out what being a master truly means, because that's what led to his village being destroyed. But Gold warns him to keep his bloodlust in check while they're in town, since the people won't be able to withstand his power. After that, we see Light on the surface wearing a mask and going by the name Dark, so the Concord members do not recognize him. They fly toward the city of Das, where Light plans to level up as an adventurer first. Then they decide to land and walk so they do not draw too much attention. Still, Nemu mutters that Gold already stands out too much. They come across a carriage under attack by dwarves, and when Gold gets spotted instantly, before anyone realizes what's happening, he takes them out in a flash and ties them up like obedient sheep. After that, Colonel and his son let them ride in their carriage and wonder whether they are famous adventurers. So Light says they are just beginning and trying to rank up. Colonel figures Dagas is a solid place for that since it has a popular dungeon that draws big crowds, and he mentions that he runs an inn there. Light and the others get off at the gate, and Nemu reminds Gold to keep a low profile. They head to the guild, yet Nemu gets mad when Light is assigned the lowest rank F. She demands S rank on the spot, but the receptionist says there is nothing she can do, and Light apologizes for the scene and accepts the rank. After leaving the guild, Nemu tears up over making Light apologize. Still, he tells her it is fine, and they head to Colonel's inn. Colonel says not to hesitate if they need anything, so Light asks to rent the entire top floor for a month. After entering the room, Light layers silencing and anti-surveillance magic over the entire floor and tells Nemu and Gold they can relax. Even though Nemu knows how strong Light is, she still thinks coming to the surface carries risk, so she wonders why he does not just issue orders from the abyss. But suddenly everything shakes as he asks if she's trying to stand in the way of his revenge. At that point, Gold eases the tension by praising Light for wanting to take revenge with his own hands. So Light apologizes for getting carried away, knowing Nemu spoke out of concern, and she asks to renew her vow of loyalty. Meanwhile, she kisses Light's foot, but Gold calls her a pervert. Nemu snaps that it is a loyalty ritual and not a kink. Gold laughs and says she simply enjoys Light's feet, and while they bicker, Light calmly picks up his shoe and walks off. After that, they head to the dungeon and notice there are no elves around, so Light mentions the dispute between dwarves and elves over who owns the dungeon. 3 hooded figures cut the line, and Light can tell the leader is strong. The kids in front wonder whether they should say something, so Light calls the cutters out anyway. The leader cannot believe a human is mouthing off to him, so he gets ready to teach that damn human a lesson. But his companion stops him, saying they should not make a scene, and the crowd's mood turns tense as hell. They shuffle to the back of the line, while the man calls after them that this isn't finished. After that, we see people around them praise Light for speaking up, while the kids say they're sorry for staying quiet, yet he tells them it's all good. They point at Gold's armor, asking if it's real gold, and Nemu explains it's just paint since true gold is too soft to forge into proper armor. The kids then ask if this is their first run in this dungeon, and Light wonders how they figured that out. They say the floors here sprawl wider than usual, so most parties haul supplies and camp inside overnight. Once the chatting wraps up, their turn finally comes, and they start thinking about what waits inside since they've never tried a different dungeon before. Nemu senses no one nearby, so Light uses his cards to lift them into the air and push for the next floor as fast as possible. At the same time, the elf Kaido from earlier slices through a band of orcs, still fuming over Light's insult. He says he was the youngest ever to join the White Knights, the elite force of the Elden Kingdom, and that he carries a master's blood. His companion Yanak tries to calm him, saying they have to reach the 3rd floor, but Kaido thinks he got looked down on because of his level, admitting he is capped at 1500. He insists he should be stronger with master blood in his veins, so Yanak promises to help using his research, while Kaido plans to toss him aside once he has served his purpose. Over in another section of the dungeon, Light and his team finish off trolls on the 3rd floor, and Light tells the others to gather the magic stones as proof they made it that far. After that, as they fly out, they spot the same kids from before struggling against a cluster of goblins. The kids bring the goblins down, but Light suddenly appears, and they see he stopped a snake mid-strike before it reached their mage. They thank him sincerely, grateful for his help. At that moment, Nemu feels an enemy approaching, and a pack of wolves bursts out from the trees. The kids get ready to run, but the wolves ignore them, and suddenly a giant scythe mantis emerges from the forest. So vicious it makes the air feel what the hell heavy. The kids cannot believe their eyes since the mantis species was supposed to be wiped out 10 years ago, and there is no way they can deal with one on their own. Right then, the leader urges Mia to hit the mantis with some magic to draw its attention, but he already knows that won't cut it, so he turns to Light and the others, pleading for their help to confuse the creature so everyone can get out alive. After hearing that the plan is to retreat, Light asks if that means they will not mind if he takes the mantis for himself. The kids think he is out of his mind since a mantis like that should be at least level 500. But Light tells them there is no need to worry because he and his companions can handle it. Gold steps forward to take the first swing, and to his surprise the mantis manages to block a string of blows without taking much damage, which tells him those claws are sturdier than he expected. Light steps forward next and fires off a blazing arrow straight for the mantis, but before it even hits, the creature deflects it and whips it right back at him. As the kids watch, they decide Light and his team might be in trouble, so they ask Mia to hurry up with her attack magic. Still, she is far too excited by what Light just did to focus properly. He has just used combat-grade magic without an incantation, and she never imagined that was even possible. The others do not know much about magic, so they cannot tell what counts as impressive, nor can they figure out how to help his friends in that moment. Gold then tells them they are better off sitting this one out. As a bonus, he says he will give them a quick lesson on what it means to be a knight. And first he explains that a shield is not limited to defense. As the mantis lunges, he pivots and cleanly parries the strike with his shield, shattering the mantis's claw on impact. He adds that a knight must never miss an opening, so while the mantis is still recoiling from the pain of losing its claw, Gold rushes behind it and chops off one of its legs. Light follows with more fire arrows, and this time, when the mantis swats them aside, the shots curve mid-flight and spear into its back. Light has taken control of the arrows, so now no matter what the mantis tries, they will keep finding their mark. One by one the mantis's limbs are blasted away, and it understands it stands no chance against Light. So it bolts for the forest, and Light is genuinely surprised that it is smart enough to choose a retreat. Light is not going to let it escape after all this, so he casts a firewall in front of the mantis to keep it from reaching the forest. And Mia is absolutely losing her mind because she has never seen anyone deploy such broad tactical magic that instantly. There is nowhere left for the mantis to run, yet it still has its wings, so it takes off into the sky as a last attempt to get away. But before it can flee, Nimu leaps after it and dices it to pieces in midair. After she lands, Gold tells her she messed up, and that gets under her skin because she thought she was doing exactly what Light wanted by destroying the mantis. Gold points out that she also destroyed all the valuable parts, so now there's no way for them to sell anything, and Nimu quickly realizes she really did mess up. She quickly apologizes to Light, but he tells her it's nothing to worry about. At the same time, the kids stand off to the side and wonder whether they truly watched a human defeat a big mantis or whether they just hallucinated the whole thing. A few minutes later, while sifting through the mantis goo, the kids happen to find its magic gem, and by sheer luck it is still in one piece, so Light will be able to submit it as proof of what he accomplished. Before they move on, one of the kids walks up and asks if he's from some famous adventurer party since he seems way too strong to be a beginner. But Light tells them that they're all just F-rankers, leaving the kids completely stunned. After a few moments, Mia uses her magic to form a water ball and offers to let Light wash the mantis goo off himself. Light appreciates that she would spend her precious mana to help him clean up, while she says it's the least she can do. Since it is getting late, the leader asks Light and the others if they would camp with them for the night, because roaming after dark is dangerous, and because Mia really wants to talk about magic with Light. And since there is no harm in it, Light agrees to stay. While the group eats, Mia asks Light all sorts of questions about his past, yet he cannot reveal his plans to her, so he makes up a cover story and says both of his parents were powerful mages, which is why he is so good at casting without incantations, and that explanation makes sense to Mia. Meanwhile, her brother admits he still can't see what makes it so impressive. After hearing him say that, she launches into a long explanation about how incredible Light's magic was, and she breaks it down into 3 main classes. First comes combat class magic, meant for a single target. Next is tactical class magic, wide area spells such as the firewall Light used earlier. And finally, there is strategic magic, with the power to affect the world on a global scale. It covers things like triggering earthquakes or calling down meteor strikes. Yet it usually demands a team of elite mages pooling their mana and chanting long incantations to pull it off. For the other races, pushing advanced spells comes easier, but humans, on the other hand, rarely reach that level. which is why she was stunned that a human such as Light could pull off a feat like that. Mia's brother still does not grasp the finer points of magic, but from what Mia just laid out, he can tell Light must be truly exceptional. Even so, he tells Mia to give herself some credit because her own spellwork earned her a referral to the Magic Academy from the Duchy. That catches Light's attention. So he asks whether they mean the authority in charge of the nation formed jointly by all 9 races, the Principality of 9. Mia confirms it, and Gold notes that being recognized by the Principality means she is a gifted mage. Her brother agrees, but says their parents died in a plague, so she could not afford to attend, and the two of them had to form an adventuring party with their childhood friends Gimra and Wordy just to get by. Right now their aim is to earn enough from dungeon runs to send Mia to the academy. Yet Mia says she is happy simply spending time with them, so they do not need to push too far on her account. Her brother promises he will not do anything reckless, and watching the two of them talk this way reminds Light of the days he spent with his little sister. Right then Mia and her brother ask why Light chose to become an adventurer. So he spins a cover story and says his parents died in a fire and he was left with severe burns. He says he is searching for a magic potion to heal himself, and no one knows what to say. Gimra hates the tension and gets up to ask if Gold and Nemu are dating. Nemu snaps into a defensive stance and says she would never date someone such as Gold, while Gold stays calm and says he has no interest in a woman as immature as Nemu. Elsewhere in the dungeon, Kaido is busy cutting down orcs to fetch Yanak the research samples he needs for an experiment meant to break the level caps placed on each race. Now that he has enough magic material prepared, Yanak says the last piece is a human test subject, and Kaido already knows exactly who he wants to hunt for the trial. Some time passes, and Light heads to the guild to exchange his latest haul of magic stones. A large crowd gathers around him because no one has seen someone return with that many magic gems. After Light and the others defeated the Manties, they built a name in the city, and people now call their party Black Motley. The receptionists have started treating them much better lately, and Light is pleased to receive that attention since it was part of his plan from the start. As he and the others walk toward the dungeon, a man on the road calls out to him, and Nemu goes immediately defensive. But the man says he is not looking to cause trouble. He gives his name as Suvalin and points to his buddy Gilbert. They heard that Light's team defeated a giant mantis and pushed all the way to the 5th door. When he saw Light passing by, he felt he had to speak. Yet the rest of Gilbert and Suvalin's party shout that it is time to head in, so they say their goodbyes and disappear through the gate. Light thinks it is nice to give the town's humans some hope, even as other races glare with envy and insist he is a fraud. He expected plenty of people to refuse his achievements, so he will force acknowledgement with results no one can argue against. Once he steps into the dungeon, Light tells Gold and Nemu he plans to head back down to the 5th floor today. Before that, he spots the kids from earlier. He decides to head down to say hello. Mia and the others are surprised to see him since it has been a while since their last run-in. Mia's brother says the timing is perfect because there is something Mia has been wanting to give him. Mia looks a bit nervous at first, then hands Light a small clamshell packed with ointment she prepared herself. She remembers him saying he carries severe burns, so she made it to ease the pain a little. Light is genuinely grateful for the kindness, even if the gesture makes him feel a touch guilty for spinning the story about those burns. To make up for it, he decides to return the favor and pulls out one of his items as a gift for Mia. It is a bracelet, and it looks truly elegant, so Mia hesitates because she is not sure she should accept something so valuable. Light tells her that her gift genuinely warmed his heart, so he wants her to have this as his way of returning the kindness. She accepts with a bright smile and says she will treasure it forever. After Light and the others depart, Nemu asks whether he is sure it was wise to hand over an SS class item so casually. That bracelet is a wishing bracelet, and when someone wishes for something with true intent, it can make that wish come true. So Light figured it was the perfect present for someone like Mia. A short while later, they arrive on the 5th floor, where everything is covered in snow. Light then tells Gold and Nemu they are in charge of hunting Yetis while he is gone. Then he activates a teleportation item and returns to his throne room in the dungeon city. There he enjoys a cup of tea and asks his team how the revenge operations are progressing. Ellie reports that almost everything is ready, so they will move to the next phase before long, and Light is pleased to hear it. He tells Ellie she is free to use whatever resources she needs to keep things running smoothly. In the meantime, he wants Mei to continue managing affairs in the Abyss and Aoyuki to keep scouting. Just then, Naz asks whether there is anything he wants her to handle during this stretch. Light does not have a clear assignment for her beyond monster slaying, and he does not want her to feel left out. So he says she is to remain on standby to protect the city in case a powerful enemy appears. That is more than enough for her, and she swears no one will get past her on her watch. And Light can barely wait for the day his plan finally kicks in, dying to see that damn miserable look on Sasha's face when he stands right in front of her. At the same time, elsewhere in the dungeon, Gilbert and Suvalin had pitched camp and were taking turns on watch while the rest of their party slept. At one point, Suvalin stepped into the trees to relieve himself, then came back to find Gilbert's severed head on the ground with Kaido standing over the body. The other two had been murdered in their sleep, and Kaido states plainly that he is doing it out of raw hatred for the human race as a whole. Suvalin burns with rage at what Kaido has done. Still, he knows he has no chance in a straight fight, so he snaps a smoke bomb and bolts for the passageways, aiming to reach the guild and report everything. But something smashes into his back, and as he looks up he sees Kaido cruising on a magical hoverboard. A heartbeat later, Yanak floors him with a blow and scolds Kaido for killing every human on sight, since the instruction was to capture them alive. Kaido just shrugs and says all humans are nothing but inferior creatures unworthy of any concern. And Yanak does not care about their lives either, yet he needs as many test subjects as possible because his research is unstable, and Suvalin is likely to die from side effects long before Yanak can stabilize it, so they still need to round up more human guinea pigs. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this recap, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or tweaks, share them in the comments. They help me improve.